Good evening, everyone. It is about to be 7 o'clock. Look what we got in front of us. That is the end of the road. This is where they stop plowing it. They make this area right here so a tractor trailer can pull into here, back up, and turn around when they're logging. In front of us is nothing more than a snowmobile trail. So now we're going to back up. We're going to get out of here. And we're going to go on a little nature vlog, see what we can see. Who knows, maybe we'll get to see a moose or two. Today I got to see 4 moose. I got 3 of them on camera. I got only 1 of them on video. No. I got 1 in a regular video. I got 1 in a short vlog video. I got 1 of them in only a picture because I know I would have lost the opportunity by the time I got it into video mode. But at least I got the picture because seconds really mattered with that one. And the 4th one was it was gone before I could even reach for the camera. Just ran into the woods. But last night we slept out here. It got down to negative 18 degrees. And you know what? It got down that cold, and usually I'd wake up shivering in temperatures not even that cold. But you know what made all the difference? I had a negative temperature sleeping bag. Negative temperatures in Fahrenheit, for anyone who doesn't know, is anything below negative 18 Celsius. So it was very cold out last night, and you know what I did? I had that nice sleeping bag, and I just zipped it up over my face, and I let myself breathe inside the sleeping bag. I was recycling my own heat. And I got a solid 9 hours of sleep. I can't believe it. I had so much energy today. I got such a good night's sleep out here. Then in the morning, it was horrible having to get out of that sleeping bag. And then I had to start the truck. I got right back in the sleeping bag because I'm just sleeping in the sleeping bag right on the back seat. And it works great because I deleted the back seat a long time ago. And I just have a sleeping platform there. So with this truck, I got to reach down to the floor and I got to hold with my hand the brake pedal, and then we start up, let it run for like 5 minutes, reach up again, turn the heat on, because I let it heat up a little bit before that, and it took over 25 minutes to start producing good heat, to start really defrosting us. In those kind of temperatures, the transmission doesn't like shifting at first, but that was a while ago. And today, looking down at my dashboard, our average speed of the day was 29 miles per hour. And amazingly, in these conditions, the majority of the day we were using 4-wheel drive. We're currently not using it because the roads aren't that bad. We got 18.1 mpg, which is actually amazing for this road conditions with the 4-wheel drive. Usually I average 19 or so we're not far off. We're doing very, very good. And because I've been going so slow all day, we're doing really good with gas. Last night, after getting gas, went into the wilderness, slept pretty quickly after 2 hours of driving. Right now, looking down at the dash, my engine has not been off in 11 hours, 18 minutes. The engine's been running all day. So add another 2 hours to that, 13 hours of engine runtime, and we've only used 3/4 of the first tank. And I got an auxiliary tank, so we have so much fuel, and we're being very fuel efficient just driving around really slow like this. It doesn't even matter that at certain times I idle, but we didn't do a lot of idling today. It's just consistent slow driving. I slept really good, and I had a few coffees today. So we're just driving a lot today because we're not really finding anything. This is more of exploratory travel is what I call this. We're driving down a bunch of roads, figuring out what exactly they're plowing this year. Some things are typical. There's certain areas, oh wow, they plowed this because they're logging there. And a lot of the roads are temporary, so it's cool to see what is new because every year what they plow is different depending where they're logging. But we visit a lot of problem areas like beavers. We figure out what is going to be a problem in the spring thaw so we can make sure we go back to those trouble areas. I try to predict which areas are going to have issues come spring thaw. Stuff like that. Figuring out what areas might be good for a winter camp, trying to figure out before we plan something, can we even get there? What roads out here are even accessible? But look down at the road. Since we got a dusting of snow, I'm the only tire tracks. These roads here, this time of year, you're lucky if you pass another vehicle every few hours. I think today, all day, I've only passed maybe 2-3 vehicles, and I've been driving over 11 hours again. Barely anyone out here. On the outskirts of the wilderness, because it's a Saturday, all the tourists are coming up with their snowmobile trailers all over the place. Not too many of them make it out this far. Most people don't come out this far. And I did realize something, and the logging company told me that this is actually the case sometimes. The roads leading into the wilderness, sometimes they leave them intentionally covered with potholes. They leave them intentionally in bad condition to encourage a lot of people to not come out here. Because the roads are always in extremely good condition after a few miles of horribleness in the entrances of the wilderness. And they actually do that on purpose because it keeps traffic down, since this whole area is open to the public. Like the road I'm on now is really good. Let's do a brake check. It's a bit of a hill. A little bit of slippage, but almost nothing. Pretty good. There was one road I was on today, and I don't know if it's because of what I just said or not, but it was a skating rink. I didn't want to take the chance, so I took a multiple-hour detour and I entered the wilderness a different way, which was also pretty bad for about an hour. I had to go so slow. Then suddenly they're sanding everything. They don't sand the edges of the wilderness roads, all the outskirt areas, but in the center, all these roads seem to be perfect for some reason. And I'm wondering if it's that same thing I was told or not. I don't know. But the auxiliary gas tank keeps paying for itself over and over, because I can be out here such a long time without worrying about fuel. You see, without that, I'd have to leave every other day and get fuel. I still have enough to stay out here many more days if I really wanted to. The thing is, we're not going to stay out here anymore because there's not really much to see this time of year. We'll have to return in the spring when more roads are open. In the spring also, I film a lot more things because that's when these roads start to become more chaotic. The sinkholes open up everywhere. The mud pits open up everywhere. Last spring, I had to use the winch many dozens of times. You get stuck everywhere. Four-wheel drive's not going to help you when you bottom out. Thankfully, most of these roads have good trees. And it doesn't even have to be a big tree, especially if the ground is frozen. Just a 2-inch tree, if you tie onto it at the bottom, it could have the potential to pull you out. Temperature's low right now. It's in the lower single digits, about 16 Celsius. These roads are in pretty good shape right here. Earlier in the day, I was on some scary ones. And a bunch of the snowmobile trails eventually tell you you can't go down them. But the one right there where I started the video, it doesn't even tell you it's a snowmobile trail starting. You can just tell because they stopped plowing it. Or maybe just snowmobiles are using it. I don't even think it's an official trail. But unless it's an official trail, there's nothing stopping you from bringing a off-road vehicle, an ATV down there. But then again, there are official snowmobile trails you're not allowed to go down because they groom them, and you're going to mess that nice groomness up with your tire marks. You're going to make it rough for the snowmobiles. But every now and then, you'll find a very nice road that is being used by snowmobiles, but it's not an official trail. I went down one earlier today, probably 10 miles without a problem because there wasn't a lot of snow on it. Drove down it without any issue. It's a road that people were using with snowmobiles, but it's not actually a snowmobile trail. And there was this one guy on a snowmobile who felt very entitled. He had the nerve to flag me down and say, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." And I'm telling him, well, this isn't a official snowmobile trail. This is a logging road. Anyone can use it for whatever they want. It's open to the public. and the person's saying, well, what you're doing is dangerous. There's people going 70 miles an hour on a snowmobile. So I tell him, well, if you're going so fast that you can't see what's around a corner and you can't stop, if you hit something, whose fault is that? It's the same with driving anything. You know, up in these areas, you need to have a driver's license to be on a snowmobile or an ATV. And that being said, you're supposed to come with that common sense. Like me right now driving on this road. Isn't that careless of me if I started going 70 miles an hour? I go around a corner and there's something there. Well, that's on me. It's called accountability. Even if that was an official snowmobile trail, I'm sure you're not supposed to be going 70 miles an hour on it. Well, I just ignored that guy, traveled down that, and he was the only guy I saw on the whole trail. I went down there to check other things. But there are certain areas, it'll literally say at the beginning of the snowmobile trail, snowmobiles only, no highway vehicles. But out here in the middle of nowhere, none of these are actually official trails. They're just logging roads. You're allowed to use snowmobiles, you're allowed to use ATVs, you're allowed to do that stuff on roads that are not actively being logged. They don't really care what you do on them. This land is for recreation. You can go hunting, you can camp wherever you want out here. There's just certain rules a logging company has for you. You can't go hunting near a logging site within a mile. You can't fire a gun within a mile because it's a safety issue for their workers. You're not allowed to bring snowmobiles down the plowed roads. And you're not allowed to have fires in the woods unless you're actually at a campsite because they don't want you starting a forest fire. They're a bit more lenient if there's snow on the ground. I don't know if anyone can tell. Look at the left side of the road. Ton of moose tracks. Probably 3 or 4 sets. One of them crossed the road. It's on the right side now. There's one on the left. And one of them up. Now nope, they're all on the left now. Now there's only 2 sets. Probably a mama and baby, based on the hoof size. Try doing is, because I know I'm not really going to be able to do anything out here and I got a good idea of what roads are open, I might end up doing some sort of hot tent camp just randomly, because you can do that basically anywhere. I wanted to find a good culvert, but all the ones I had in mind I can't really get to easily. I'd have to probably hike longer than I want to. I also wanted to sleep next to a beaver lodge on the ice, but can't get to the ones I had in mind. So I think today I'm going to drive home as much as I can, and when I start getting sleepy, I'm just going to find a spot to pull over and sleep the way I did last night. It's not going to be as cold. Or who knows, I might make it home before getting tired. I don't know. I know right now I'm not tired, but I don't think I'm going to make it all the way back. I'll drive another hour or two, find a good spot to sleep, probably. This road's gonna get pretty in just a few minutes, like very pretty. There's gonna be lots of evergreen trees covered in snow. Evergreen trees covered in snow. Evergreen trees covered in snow. Yeah, there's an area up here I think is slightly higher elevation we're gonna hit. That area just looks a lot more beautiful. You'll notice the snow also starts to get a bit deeper. Even though it's cold out, the cold's never really bothered me. The wind chill is always what gets to me. Like, today I filmed a few things just for a minute or so. I get out, I don't really need a jacket, but if it would have been horrible if there's a wind chill. If there's a wind chill, it makes your fingers freeze up and start hurting in just a couple minutes, this kind of weather. But without the wind chill, I don't even think it's that bad. And I think this is the area now that we're starting to go uphill. The temperature is going to drop a couple degrees. There's a lot more snow. Because sometimes snowstorms are sensitive. If it's really, really cold, everywhere is going to get fluffy snow. But let's say you're around that good temperature, like in the upper 20s, just slightly below freezing. Elevation plays a huge role in stuff. And just a little bit of elevation, just a few hundred feet higher, can result in much deeper snow, because the colder it is, just a couple degrees will make it fluffier, so the same amount of water can accumulate a lot deeper. And up here, you're going to notice the snowbanks start getting big fast compared to like where we started the video. The snow's already deeper here because we're going up in elevation. It's like sometimes on the highway, what's the highway in Vermont? Highway 91. That has so many ups and downs on it. If you're traveling that highway when it's just about the freezing mark, there's times every hill will have a few inches of snow. Every dip, the road's dark because it's wet. Nothing's accumulating because the temperature's warmer in all the valleys and colder at the little peaks. At least that's the only road I've personally seen that on to a high extent. I also realized today this road is pure white. There's not really much sand or treatment, but your tires, I guess, accumulate junk as they're spinning. It builds a ball of garbage, snow, grit right behind each wheel, and eventually that falls off, and it's usually brown or black in color because it's all dirty. When it falls off, it's covered in grit, so the birds like picking at that because they need grit for digestion. So yeah, out here all the time today you see birds picking at the grit, or anywhere the snow plow was able to like grind down and get some dirt. Birds are all over that. Because that's the only spot they can get it in the whole woods. I don't think we got to that high spot yet. Right here I can increase speed a little bit. Good straightaway. That scared me for a moment. I don't know why. I thought that red pole over on the left was a person for a moment. I guess I'm too on edge about moose. Because as I'm driving, I'm trying to scan the edges. And that's also why out of these roads I drive right in the center. There's no one around. I need to have every moment I can to stop for a moose. You can't stop fast on these roads because of the snow and ice. But I am driving slower than I typically would be in the summer, because this road has a speed limit of 45 miles an hour or 75 kilometers an hour, but today I can't really exceed 30 miles an hour or 50 kilometers an hour. Can't really exceed that today because of the icy conditions. I'm glad we're off the really bad roads though. You notice how there's kind of like two snowbanks? I guess the snowbank was getting kind of high, so they kind of pushed it. That's why you got that flat ledge right there. They're anticipating more snowstorms, so they're making room in case. Because this area historically is supposed to have a lot more snow, especially in January. I've been up here times the snowbanks on the sides of the road are so high you can't look in the woods. At least when I was driving my old car. I don't think I've seen that depth since I've been driving this truck. Still, I'm not that much higher. I remember those snowbanks were literally 5 feet tall. I don't see any of that right now. I miss those days when the snowpack was so deep. I had to walk around with my fishing waders on. The regular rubber boots wouldn't cut it. This year I can walk anywhere with the rubber boots. There's not really any deep snow. This truck has been able to get down a bunch of unplowed roads. Not really an issue. I've only got stuck once this year, and that's because I was stupid and I drove onto a snowbank. Probably drive home today a way I haven't actually gone in 3 years, just because I want to avoid the road I usually take home, because I know that's the scary road that I didn't want to take, so I found a different way into the wilderness. But I'm also not leaving through the way I came in. I'm leaving through a totally different way because I don't want to backtrack on more dirt roads that weren't so great. And I think we'll have a good exit today because fairly close to a town. When I say fairly close, I mean the exit of the woods. We have to drive at least another hour before we even hit the edge of the woods. So the main Northwoods has checkpoints for the safety of tourists, but they only operate in the summer months. So in the summer months, if someone comes in here, they got to pay a fee. And they take your license plate number and stuff. They ask you when you're going to leave the woods. When your reservation out here expires, they give you 24 hours, then they start searching for you. Okay, here's the area that's got the pretty deep snow, I think. But the evergreen trees look really beautiful here. I love this section. So yeah, that's how it works up here. In the winter time, you come out here, barely anyone comes out here, even in the summer. But so few people come out here in the winter that they don't even operate. They don't even have facilities that can operate in the winter. Everything would freeze. So out here in the winter, no signal, you get stuck. Better be prepared. I got a sleeping bag, I got a bunch of food. My water would freeze in this situation, but I have one of those life straws. You could probably find a stream out here that's not frozen over. A lot of the streams are spring water, so they have the warmth of the ground. They don't really freeze up easily. And I got a lot of fuel. So if I got stuck, I could probably idle many, many days without even shutting off. But I'm on a road here that's maintained. Somebody would come by within a day, guaranteed. And most people out here would offer to pull you out. But in the summer months, that's for your own safety, why they have a system like that. Because in the past, many people have got lost out here and just never come back out of the woods. That's why they have things like that. Same thing with all the national parks. If you don't check out, they're going to be an issue. So the way the national parks work, even if you have a season pass, you check in for a day, it's going to be in their computer system you checked in. If you're not out in a day or two, they start looking for you, because otherwise it would be in their system that you're camping. If you don't have a camping permit, that means you're illegally using a campsite or you got lost. And they're going to assume you got lost and start looking for you after 2 days, unless you reserved a campsite. That's how that system works. Just like when I went camping in the Everglades, I had to get a permit for all those campsites. If I had not returned from any of those campsites within a day after it expired, they would go looking for you. Now, if I just drove in there, parked, and decided to go camping without a permit, well, they would start looking for you maybe even while you're camping, because they wait 24 hours since you went in there because you never left. You're not allowed to, in the national parks, just sleep in your car, which is unfortunate. But they don't allow that. Whether it's for safety or to prevent vagrancy, I'm not really sure. But yeah, the national parks would probably have a massive abundance of people buying the season pass, which isn't that expensive, and just sleeping in their vans everywhere without camping sites. It's probably what they're trying to avoid, because a lot of those parks during tourist season are already super packed as it is. Right now, we just drove through one of the most beautiful parts of this road. I love the evergreen trees. They look so beautiful with the snow that folds all the branches downwards. And it's just been cold. No wind to knock the snow down. It hasn't snowed in probably 5 days up here. I'm just playing it safe now. I could probably go a bit faster, but I don't want to, especially around the corners. Show the interesting road and vlog my experience of what I seen out here this trip. Not a single log truck. They don't work on the Saturdays. But I did see the abandoned logging operations that I drove through. They have a lot of logs ready to go, but not a single worker to be found. It's their day off. Usually they only work weekends during times of year that really, really matter, like in the spring, where they can only work at night because the days are getting too muddy. Mud season's just starting. Because mud season is, can't have truck drivers out here. The loggers are still going, they're stockpiling, but it kind of builds up on the side of the road because the trucks can't come out here during mud season. Mud season here is typically April, May. It can sometimes start as early as March. It can sometimes go as late as June. It all depends on the year. Up here, the growing season does not start until June 15th, and the growing season ends September 15th. This area only has 3 months of growing season. Very short up here in northern Maine. My area has about 4 months of growing season, June 1st to October 1st. A little bit longer, but still pretty short compared to the south. I remember where I grew up in Massachusetts, we had a growing season typically started May 1st. You could oftentimes grow stuff into October. But then you go down south, they only have a couple month period of frost, typically. Historically, everywhere can get frost. I was looking at all those type of weather records not too long ago. It looks like the coldest year on record for the United States was 1977. Severely cold across the whole country. They even had a deep freeze in Florida. Even the Florida Keys got down into the 20s for temperature, which is unheard of. Haven't had that since down there since the 70s. Then I was looking at the hottest year on record, which looks like it was 1912. Looks like a heat wave even in the 100-degree temperatures. Even up here in northern Maine, it looks like they had 100-degree temperatures for quite a while. We've never even got close to 100 in the years I've been living up here. We had a couple days in the mid-90s a couple years ago, but we've been pretty normal for temperatures and precipitation the past 2 years. Like this year was 2024 was a decent year. It was a little dry in the fall, but pretty good rain in the summer. 2023, I would say, had pretty good rain, if I'm remembering correctly. I think 2022 was the year, it could be a year off. It was super cold all year. I think the average temperature was in the 60s, and it rained almost every single day. But then 2021 was the driest year I've ever seen. And we actually had a high temperature average in the 80s, which is way above where it's supposed to be. It was so dry, had a lot of trees die out. That was a bad year. All the rivers started drying up. 2021 was bad. 2020 was also pretty dry, but not that bad. 2019 was pretty average. So we had a super duper dry year, followed by a super duper wet below average year. Total opposite those 2 years. I don't know what to expect this year, but last year was pretty ideal. Just got a little dry in the fall. But that was when trees are already starting to go into hibernation, so I don't think it really affected things too badly. There was no high temperatures to go with it, so that was pretty good. 2021, I hope to never see that again. That was such a bad year for the forest. But then we had a pretty good recovery year, the year that was in the 60s following that. That year we actually got too much rain. I couldn't even find a dry day to paint the house. I had to wait quite a while. And that year it was also so wet that native trees were starting to grow mildew on their leaves, especially the aspen trees in the yard. I also had mildew growing all over my tomato plants. It stunted the growth of a lot of things I was growing. That was the one year I tried attempting corn in the yard. Well, I had a bunch of baby corn. It tasted good. I love baby corn. You can eat the whole stalk and everything, but I didn't intend on growing baby corn. It just didn't have time to develop. I had to harvest it before a frost. But every year is different. The average year is probably the best. It's the best of both worlds. That's what I like living up north here. The average is about 76 degrees on a normal year. We have cool summers up here. It's nice. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.